Lying Ted. Holds that Bible high, puts it down, and then he lies.
Donald is a bully. The man is utterly amoral.
I think he's crazy. Honestly, I think he's crazy.
This man is a pathological liar, a narcissist at a level I don't think this country's ever seen.
He is choking like a dog because he's losing so badly. We have to put him away tomorrow.
Donald, you're a sniveling coward, and leave Heidi the hell alone.
His father was with Lee Harvey Oswald prior to Oswald being, shot. I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous. What is this, right prior to his being shot? And nobody even brings it up. I mean, they don't even talk about that.
In politics, there's a word for a fight like that: two tarantulas in a bowl. My, how times change. What a difference 2 years makes. After their very public feud during the presidential election, one of the most bizarre and hostile public spectacles in modern political history, who'd have guessed? Donald Trump and Ted Cruz are now apparently best buds.
To me, he's not Lying Ted anymore. He's beautiful Ted. We fought it out. The outcome was obvious. And we have worked together very closely. I like him a lot.
Okay. Trump is holding a rally in Houston tonight to benefit Cruz, who's locked in a tight battle with Democrat Beto O'Rourke. And some news on that front. Early voting started today in Texas. And look at this. From Houston Chronicle reporter Jeremy Wallace. Long, long lines. Some people even apparently camped out last night. The Chronicle says nearly 2,000 people were outside one polling place in Houston this morning, hours before early voting even began. That could be good news for O'Rourke, who was greeted by rock star-sized crowds at his stops at voting locations today. Houston Chronicle taking the rare step of endorsing a Democrat in this statewide race. Joining us at the table, Bret Stephens, New York Times op-ed columnist, and Karine Jean-Pierre. Do I say that right, or is that like
it's
fake
perfect.
French?
It's perfect.
I love
absolutely
it. I love
perfect.
It.
Thank you.
All right. Senior advisor to MoveOn.org, and Mike Lupica, who will be the first to notice and call me out on my bad French. Veteran columnist also joins the table. Let me start with you. I mean, I feel like if they were so sure that Ted Cruz had this in the bag, Air Force One wouldn't be landing in Texas today.
Exactly. I have to say, Nicole, if six months ago, if I was sitting at this table and I was telling you, hey, the last 2 weeks before this midterm, Donald Trump is going to go to Ruby Red, Texas, and do a campaign for Ted Cruz, you guys would have laughed me off of the set, right? So I think that what Donald Trump is doing clearly is all defense. It's not offense. He's going to all of these red states, Dean Heller's underwater, going to Arizona, trying to save that seat. And so it's not, I can't imagine that is good for Republicans. And now we're hearing high turnout in early voting. We saw high registration as well in Texas. We're high to early voting in Georgia and Tennessee. That's actually good for Democrats, not Republicans. The reason why Republicans do so well in midterms is because we don't come out. Democrats don't come out.
Mike Lupica, it feels like if the Republicans have prevailed at anything, it's winning this pre-midterm spin game. I called 3 Republican pollsters because I'm disoriented myself by the spin. But I didn't find a single pollster who I've known my entire career who thought there was a chance in hell that Republicans would hold the House. Ergo, Democrats are likely looking at, whether they win by 1 seat or 101 seats, likely taking control of a chamber that could launch investigations into every corner of the Trump administration. Why aren't they happier?
Well, you know, what's odd to me, and what's been odd all along, Nicole, is that they actually thought the whole Kavanaugh thing and getting behind this aging frat boy was a winning thing for them. And they keep moving the goalposts. And you hear that Trump says, hey, you're voting for me on November 6th, but that behind the scenes, he's saying, hey, don't pin this on me if we lose the House.
Not behind the scenes. In an interview, he said that. He didn't hide that. He said that in an interview.
Yeah, I sometimes forget when the curtain gets pulled back and when it gets pulled back. I mean, I was just watching the Cruz stuff. The Cruz stuff is the Republican Party in full bloom. I mean, think about all the words that were spoken on this network and all networks about NFL players taking a knee. Think of all the time that was wasted on the internet, and guess what Ted Cruz is doing tonight? He is genuflecting in front of the President of the United States because they both think there's political hay to be made by him doing that.
And Nick, take all the political spin on both sides out of this. You don't land Air Force One in a state where a statewide election is in the bag. You just don't. So going to Texas, going to deep red Texas, suggests that Donald Trump, ever the performer, sees something in Beto that all the Democrats see.
I'm not sure about that. For one thing, the president enjoys a crowd, so I think this tour is partly for the president's needs and partly for his party's. Look, I see more and more profiles of O'Rourke, and I see his poll numbers dropping and dropping. So it doesn't seem like he's closing in right now. I will say that I think the president's tour right now is a policy of insurance. He's trying to make sure that there is no chance of a Democratic Senate as best he can. Because if the House goes, it's one thing. If the Senate goes, he's in real trouble. So I see this more as putting it in the bag for Republicans and not playing defense.
I think Nick is absolutely right, and I think Democrats should
Let's just explain to our viewers of the importance of the Senate. I mean, even 10 months ago, when the Mueller probe was generating headlines on a daily basis, the president's outside legal advisors saw avoiding conviction in the Senate as the strategy for protecting. That's why they sort of blew up the whole prospect of a presidential interview. That's why they ultimately didn't fire Mueller. Their whole goal to protect the president became avoiding conviction in the Senate.
Well, they would need 2/3 of the Senate in order to do that. So that's I don't think that's an issue for them. But it is an issue, for instance. It's very important for a lot of Republican voters that the Senate still will be confirming judges, not just justices to the Supreme Court, but a lot of the lower courts. Look, what we learned in 2016 is that we don't understand, none of us understand the American electorate as well as we should. Pollsters certainly didn't understand that. So quite honestly, from the point of view of political tactics, this is Trump just not committing the kind of malpractice that Hillary Clinton committed when she wasn't going to Wisconsin, Michigan, making sure that those states she needed to win were rolled up. I think he's right. The fact of the matter is, for all the enthusiasm for Beto, and you know how I feel about his opponent, for all the enthusiasm for Beto, the spread has been widening. It looks like Republicans did in fact get a Kavanaugh bump, and that it's going to guarantee them control of the chamber.
So just since we're disparaging polls, let me put one up. Beto is only about as far behind as Donald Trump was at this point before the 2016 election. I think we have those. If not, Trump was down, I think it's about 1 point. Yeah. So if pollsters are wrong, they could be almost as wrong again. My point is just to underscore yours, which is that polls don't really tell
We just don't know. The truth is, we're in a new world.
And I agree. Time will tell. Polls are kind of their theories. The model seems to be different this time because the electorate is different. So we don't know what may happen in this election. But I will have to say that Donald Trump going into these red states, in particular tonight, Texas, it's yes, it will gin up his base, but I think it will also gin up the other side as well, because we have to remember more people oppose Donald Trump than support him. And so I think there might be some advantages on the other side, too, by him trying to do the defense and bringing it home, I guess, is the way he's seeing it.
It's a sign of all of our politics being so polarizing. You go in to excite one side, you excite them both.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.